I'm here in Trieste because there's this fabulous exhibition of Leonor Fini at the Revoltella Museum of Modern Art. And of course this is important because Leonor Fini was brought up and educated in Trieste. So this is an important moment for the city to take real note of her. And the exhibition is wonderful. You know, they cover all periods of her life, but in particular they're interested in her early years in Trieste. And they have discovered drawings and paintings which I didn't know. And I mean, I've researched her for 15 years, and they've found locally people who collected her back in the 20s who've still got pictures. For me, that's very exciting. And also, they've got works from other periods of her life. And when you go around the exhibition, you know, there's a magnificent painting called L'Ange de l'Anatomie, the Angel of Anatomy, which is here. And it's an extraordinary painting about death and sexuality, and it relates to 17th century images of skeletal beings being stripped of their flesh down to their bones, but she's fleshed it out with the most amazing colours, highly erotic, and yet, you know, how do you make an erotic painting out of such a subject? Leonor could do that. And then there's another marvellous painting called Le Bout du Monde, the ends of the earth, and it shows Leonor herself naked, immersed in water up to her breasts. And it's a strange, dark, rather dirty-looking water. And in the background, there's a burning city, you know, the burning fires of hell. And around her are the remains of, there are skulls and there are parts of bodies. And she is like an ancient priestess presiding over this scene of destruction and power. And of course, this is the key to Leonor's work, that she sees the role of women as having been usurped by men over history, in particular in the history of art. And so she tries to reverse this situation and tries to show the power of woman, looking back at the ideal of the goddess figure, presiding over destruction like that. A very, very powerful image. And it's wonderful to see these images here in Trieste. People love stories about Leonor, and there are lots of stories about Leonor. And one of them, which is absolutely true, most of them are not true. One of them that is absolutely true is that her father was abusive towards her mother when she was born in Argentina, and she was taken by her mother to Trieste, where her mother's family lived, and she was brought up there with her grandparents and her mother. Her father never accepted the loss of his beloved daughter, and he made great efforts to get a divorce and to, in fact, get custody of the daughter. And, of course, Leonor's mother rejected any attempt to this. He tried through the courts, and they rejected his attempt. So apparently, what he did was he sent over somebody to find Leonor and to kidnap her. That is what we are told. All we know is that there was an occasion in the streets. Leonor was stopped by somebody and was very, very frightened by what this person was trying to do, maybe to kidnap her. And when she told her mother presumed this was something to do with her ex-husband and with Leonor's father. And so from then on, when Leonor went out in the streets, they used to dress her as a boy because they just felt that this was safer. That's the story. But the interesting thing is that in later life, Leonor loved dressing up. Dressing up was one of her great pleasures. Dressing up for the theatre, dressing up for vernissage, dressing up because she loved clothes and she loved dressing up, not specifically dressing up as a man, she just loved changing her persona like this. And if you want to find psychological reasons for things in later life, you might say she remembered being dressed as a boy and she remembered finding that quite exciting, and maybe that was something to do with her later love of dressing up. That's all I can say. I think she was multisexual. I think that she was in no way limited in her sexual interest. I think she felt that sexuality was a wonderful area to explore, both as an artist and as a person. And therefore she loved gay men, she loved straight men, she loved gay women, she loved straight women. And her personal experiences, I think, were mainly concerned with men. But I think she experimented with sexuality with women, and for her it was an interesting area to explore, but not her personal area to concentrate on. And she would have had no worries about doing that. She was entirely, whether you call it ambisexual, whether you call it multisexual, to her, labels I don't think mattered really. My view as an art historian and in particular surrealism is an area of my studies. I've written a lot about surrealism, and my view is that she, in the 1940s and 50s, she created a very special form of surrealist art in the way that she, as a woman, took on the role of spiritual guide, of primordial being, of classical goddess, in the terms of dream and dream analysis and psychological investigation of imagery. And in the light of surrealism, which was a very male-centered group, I think that she contributed a lot to that whole process of modernism after the war in France. And therefore, my view is that she was not just a fabulous personality, but she was an important artist.
In sala da ballo il rinfresco. Signori, buona visita e grazie ancora.